Cyberpunk TCG's beta release is almost here, and today we're going over what I believe, based on the cards revealed so far, what could be one of the strongest archetypes at the beta events. We're taking one unit, attaching a medically irresponsible amount of cybernetics and gear to it, and turning it into the final boss of Night City. That's right, CHOOMS, we're playing Voltron. But before we start chroming out our units, I have a pretty huge announcement. As of today, I'm officially one of the content creators for Cyberpunk TCG. I want to give a massive thank you to the Cyberpunk TCG team, Weirdco, CD Projekt Red, whoever's in charge of that, for bringing me on. I've had an absolute blast learning the game, doing learn to plays at LGSs, generally just talking about the game to anyone who wants to just hear me rant and sharing everything with you guys. And don't worry, official content creator or not, you're still getting my honest opinions. So you know how we do things around here. We're making questionable financial decisions for you guys and analyzing them with surgical precision. So before we break down the archetype, let's quickly explain what Cyberpunk TCG Beta Events actually are. So beta events are in-store tournaments where anybody can show up, you build a deck, learn the game, and experience Cyberpunk TCG for the first time. So this is actually not a pre-release. There is still a pre-release happening. So don't think that this is the pre-release. This is a beta event. We're still going to have a pre-release, I believe, in the future, and then our official release. So just keep that in mind. But I think you still want to show up to this and celebrate the release of the game, the successful Kickstarter, but you do not have to be a Kickstarter backer. Everyone can come, play, and chrome on out. Come on out, chrome on out. We'll leave that in. So yeah, you don't already need a giant collection. You don't need to bring any Cyberpunk TCG cards with you, because there are none. Except for the second run of the trial deck, structure deck, event deck, whatever you guys want to call it. Every game has it. But yeah, these decks are sealed. So there's a sealed format. You just show up to your LGS that's participating. Make sure you reach out, because they might not be doing it. Just check your local game stores and make sure that they are holding an event. So you purchase a beta event kit with everyone else there at the same time. This is an event, so there's a start time. You get your kit, you open up your packs, build your deck using the cards you receive. If you guys play Magic the Gathering, you should be very familiar with this. This is a sealed event. Sealed as in you take your packs and make a deck with what you got. So beta event kits, they contain 6 Welcome to Night City beta booster packs, 3 additional random legends, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. 3 additional random legend cards to help you with your deck construction. 1 beta Mantis Blade promo card. This is huge, by the way. We'll touch up on this in a little bit. Mantis Blades, by the way, not Blade. And a complete set of Cyberpunk TCG polyhedral dice, including a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. So you've got everything you need to play. Only thing you're missing are some sleeves and a playmat. So bring your most favorite, most luckiest Spellground from 1996 and throw down with everybody. Bring your sleeves that I know you guys use for limited and have been using for the last 10 years for all those Magic pre-releases. But yeah, you're getting everything you need in this kit besides those things. But yeah, it's a chance to crack packs, learn the game, and battle against some new local CHOOMS. So yeah, it's really preem event, and make sure you guys show up. So let's talk about the archetype I mentioned earlier. What is Voltron? So I originally learned the term from Magic the Gathering. My first commander, I made this really dirtle Derevi Voltron deck. Probably were better commanders to play Derevi in, but I pretty much would flash in Derevi. It's not flash, it's actually his ability, but I don't want to get into that. But pretty much I play Derevi into my field at the end of my opponent's turn, right before my turn, and then I just start stacking and stonking artifacts and enchantments on it. So yeah, Voltron takes 1 creature in Magic, or in this case 1 unit, and loads it up with artifacts, equipment, enchantments, or anything else you can attach to it. You're essentially putting all your eggs into one extremely fragile, but not really violent basket. You take 1 unit, you pile a ridiculous amount of gear onto it, and then you turn that unit into a freaking monster powerhouse capable of dealing an insane amount of damage. I'm talking like you're going to be doing 3 or more gigs that you're taking 3 or more gigs at once. Maybe like, yeah, maybe more. Like, I'm actually curious. I want to see someone take 4 gigs. I want to make someone make the Chungus Among Us and just start taking 4 gigs in one attack. That would be insane. But yeah, this is a strategy that isn't new. It's in like many TCGs, but it's a proven strategy. We know it works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, boys and girl. So yeah, let's talk about the beta event kits. This is what made me think about this archetype. Every single beta event kit comes with one of my favorite cheap pieces of gear, Mantis Blades. If you guys have watched any gameplay video I've done running the Arasaka deck, Mantis Blades is one of my favorite gear. And it's not because it does anything special, it's just because it's cheap. It costs like nothing, costs 1, gives your unit +2, and that's it. Well, there's nothing to complain about it, but that simple +2 is enough to push a unit above its like on-curve cost. What is an on-curve cost? If you guys are coming from Magic the Gathering, I'm talking about 2/2 bears for 2. You know what I mean? Imagine playing a freaking 3/3 bear for 2. Or is it 3/3? Sorry, 4/4 bear for 2. Even better. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to cheat little cheapy duders with abilities on them that make them better, but we stack all this gear on them to make them even better. So the fact that every single player gets a copy is huge. That's already 1 Mantis Blade that you need in your deck to start this roll toward destruction, this road. But yeah, this Mantis Blades is also common. Don't forget that. So common means that there's a good chance you will pull more copies of Mantis Blades in your 6 packs, right? So if I open multiple copies, I'm running all of those. Red also appears to be the color that is the one with the most aggressive gears. It's red. Red goes fast. Come on, boys. Magic the Gathering, red. Grand Archive, I'm starting to get into that game. I heard the same thing. Red is aggro. So yeah, red is aggressive. We're going fast. We're dealing damage. It's exactly what we want in this archetype. So let's talk about cards. Other cards we want. So we have Arasaka Emergency Radio Port. So this card, it costs 2, gives the equipped unit another +2 power, but its other abilities where things get really interesting. Whenever the equipped unit or a legend becomes spent, for my Magic the Gathering players, that means like you're attacking, you tap, you may look at one of your friendly face-down legends. If that legend is an Arasaka or has Go Solo, the keyword, you can call it for free. For free. And trust me, the Go Solo part is extremely important once we start talking about our legends, right? So, Arasaka Emergency Radio part is also a common, so if you pull multiple copies of this, again, multiple copies, it's a common, it's a gear. I'm playing as many as I can get. Alright, let's move on to one of the strongest red gear cards revealed so far, one of the first cards revealed, right? You know what it is. It is Satori, Sword of Saburo. I was going to call it Satoru. Satori, Sword of Saburo. So Satori, cost 2, gives another unit +2 power, and whenever the unit wins a fight against a rival unit, you draw a card. That is massive. Imagine playing mono red aggro in Magic, but your enormous attacker also starts drawing cards every time it wins a fight. That is freaking huge, right? So like, let's say I attack, your opponent has a blocker, they chump block, you still draw. That's so good. Aggressive decks usually run into the problem of emptying their hand and running out of gas. That if you guys played, I'm just gonna keep talking about Magic because I was a big Magic player in Constructed. If you guys ever played Mono Red's Boss Sly, like you dump your hand by turn 3 and then You just have a hope and a prayer that you top deck something, not land. So yeah, Satori allows you to keep applying pressure while replacing some of the cards you've already spent. Card draw is huge in any TCG, and that looks especially important in Cyberpunk as well. So the last revealed red card I want to discuss for gear is Dead Man Transmitter. So Dead Man Transmitter is uncommon, but I think you still have a really good chance to pull this card, and this really rounds out the entire deck. So what does it do? It gives +1 power. Meh, it's not bad. But the protection effect is what we care about. So, if the equipped unit would be defeated, you would defeat Dead Man Transmitter instead. So let me just say that again. If the equipped unit is defeated, you defeat Dead Man Transmitter instead. That is huge for Voltron, as our weakness is that if we lose our guy, we're kind of effed, right? We put all our eggs in one basket, and he's dead. This gets around that. This says if you want to play a kill spell, son? I hope you got 2. I hope you brought 2 to the party. And one of the best removal, I keep saying spell. One of the best removal cards in the game is actually one of the last one. It's late game, where you can remove any unit under the value of your D20. So yeah, by the time they hit that, it's like GG, you're almost at endgame, bro. So the only thing that gets around this card is Placide type effects. What's a Placide effect? Placide and Maman Brigitte, I believe. I don't know why I have an accent when I say all these different words. Maman Brigitte. They bottom deck a unit. So those would get around this as they put a unit on the bottom of your deck. They're not defeating a card. So yeah. Just a really good card. If you pull this, you guys know what archetype you're building, right? You finally build the Terminator, your opponent tries to destroy it, and the Dead Man Transmitter just says, nah, brah, we got that premium trauma insurance. Let's go. Alright, so let's talk about what color we would choose to pair with red. For me personally, I am actually going to choose yellow for limited. So why yellow? Well, we'll get into it more in depth later, but pretty much we have more support in limited in the yellow color. And like I said, we'll get into that later on in the video. So yeah, I think yellow is the best option. So one of the first cards I really like is called Adrenaline Converter. Adrenaline Converter, it costs 2, gives the equipped unit +3 power. And if your rival controls at least 2 or more gigs than you, the unit gains adrenaline. That means it can attack on the same turn it's played. In my Magic players, that's basically just haste. So Adrenaline Converter is also common, making it another realistic card you will get in your sealed pool. So you could have really, really good cards in other colors, but if they're epic or above, the odds of you pulling that card are slim to none, right? But commons are different. If you have really good commons towards your archetype, you have a lot more better chance of pulling not just one, but multiple copies. Especially, don't forget, this is a small set. So commons, you have a higher chance to pull more than one copy. Pulling more than one copy is really good when you're trying to go and build an archetype. So yeah, your opponent thinks they're safely ahead, and suddenly you play a unit, attach Adrenaline Converter to it, and you just send it straight into them, and you send one of their units straight to the emergency room. So really, really good card in my opinion. Next up is Gorilla Arms. Gorilla Arms is another common gear that costs 4 and gives +3 power. It also gives your unit what I would describe as pseudo double strike. So the first time the equipped unit steals 1 or more gigs each turn, you steal another rival gig with a value not shared by one of your friendly gigs. So instead of taking 1 gig, you're taking another one. And that's just so good. That's like, even if they're already 10 power, you would take 2, you would take 3. So that's a really, really good effect. You definitely want that, right? You're not only making your Voltron unit bigger, you're increasing the amount of value it generates when you connect with them. But yes, let's move on to Zeta Tech Faceplate. So Zeta Tech faceplate isn't uncommon, so you have a less chance of pulling one, if more than one, right? But this has an incredibly strong ability. Whenever the equipped unit or legend becomes spent, you adjust a gig by up to one, and then if you control 3 or more gigs with different values, draw a card. Again, we have card draw attached to a gear that supports our game plan. You need to refill your hand, especially if they blow you out and manage to get rid of your unit that you dropped all this gear on. You need a way to refill your hand and keep that aggro plan going. If you have Satori and Zeta Tech faceplate helping you draw cards, your aggressive deck is just able to keep up, right? Once you've run out of resources. Now let's talk about the best of pals among us, the Chungus Among Us, the card that would immediately make me force the Voltron strategy if I opened it. It's, you know what it is, the Relic Experimental Biochip. So the Relic is a 5-cost epic gear that gives the equipped unit +3 power. That alone is good, but its ability is completely ridiculous. So, when the equipped unit is defeated, you may play another unit costing 9 or less from your trash for free. Then, if you place then you can place the defeated unit on the bottom of your deck. Like, what? You spent the entire game building one enormous unit. Your opponent finally manages to defeat it, celebrates for like half a second, and then you pull a 9 cost or less out of your trash onto the field for free. So they not only did they get rid of your dude, sorry, someone's calling me. Not only do they get rid of your dude, you get your best 9 or less costs out of your graveyard, out of your trash, put it on the field. Not only does it not just go to your hand, it goes onto the field. And the unit that they just killed doesn't even die. It goes on the bottom of your deck. That is so good. That's so good. I don't know what to say. That's just really good. But thank God that is epic. Because if this was like a rare, and almost like if this was a rare and you guaranteed saw this deck every single sealed event you went to, I'd probably get tilted, right? So yeah, it just prevents your unit from being defeated. What is dead never dies, or what dead is never dies? What is dead never dies? Is that what they say in Game of Thrones? I don't know. But anyway, the combination's absolutely disgusting, and I love it. If I pull the Relic, we aren't just considering Voltron, we are Voltron. So, yeah. Alright, so gear doesn't just make the deck, right? We need strong legends and units in these colors to make the strategy work. But what's this? Some of the best legends in the 3-card supplemental legend pack happen to actually work with our game plan, right? They actually work with red, yellow Voltron. So let's talk about it. First, we have Atom Smasher, Ender of Legends, and you know who he ended. I'm not going to spoil it, but for you who watch Edge Runners, you know who he ended at the season finale. And I'm not talking about the main character. Sorry, that was a spoiler, but let's be real. You're right, you probably knew that. But yeah, Atom Smasher costs 9, which is definitely expensive. However, I expect sealed event matches to run longer than constructed games. So, reaching 9 eddies is much more realistic in my opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with that? Do you think limited will reach 9 more reliably? But yeah, so when Atom Smasher's played, he simply just defeats a rival unit. That's his ability. You play him, he kills something. There's no complicated setup. There's no strange requirements. There's no asking your opponent politely, is it okay if he dies? Atom Smasher just shows up, points at something, and it is sent to the abyss. It's dead. I love removal with no downside or additional requirements. I'm looking at magic spells or pal world cards that say kill something of X cost or less. Kill something of X cost or more. Kill non-black, non-vampire, non-dirtle. You know what I'm talking about. I just want a straight up kill spell. And this is it. This is a kill spell on a stick, which is great. He also has Go Solo, meaning Arasaka emergency radio part can reveal and call him for free. And then we have Royce, Psycho on the Edge. Royce also has Go Solo, also synergizing with the Arasaka emergency radio port. Okay. I see you, Synergy. But yeah, he is, more importantly, he may be the ultimate Voltron target. Bros, you have, I believe, a 1 in 9 chance. Sorry, 3 in 9 chance. So you have like a 33.33 with a little line on top of the 0.33, right? Chance of pulling one of these guys. So he is the ultimate Voltron target. During your turn, Royce gains an additional +2 power for every piece of gear attached to him. That bonus is on top of the power already provided by the gear itself. So Mantis Blades provides 2 power. When you attach it to Royce, he also does another 2. Bros, that's just, that's chef's kiss. Your one cost gear are just better. So stacking Mantis Blades, Satori, Gorilla Arms, all those other gear onto Royce, and he begins looking less like a regular chum and more like a choom. He is your Cyber Psycho boss encounter. If you attach the Deadman transmitter to protect him, attach Satori to draw him cards when he wins fights, you attach Zeta Tech faceplates to draw more cards and gig manipulation, and then the Relic, if you actually pulled it, bro, that's the dream. If yellow is your other color, Dum Dum Maelstrom Triggerman is also another amazing legend to receive. When you call Dum Dum, you may defeat one of your friendly gears and draw 2 cards. That part's optional. If you don't want to sacrifice a gear, you just draw one. So his second ability is even better for this deck. It's quick, so you can use it in response to an attack. You play 1 Eddy, spend Dum Dum, and give a friendly unit +1 power for every piece of gear attached to it. Your opponent thinks they've done the math correctly, and Dum Dum says, "Actually, Choom, you forgot to account for all this chrome." So yeah, he's literally just Dum Dum and Royce. You just make your units the Chungus among us. It just gets out of control. River War Detective on the Hunt is another legend you can receive in your 3-card supplemental pack. His ability is quick, lets you spend him and play a gear, costing 2 or less from your hand for free. So because it's quick, you can do this on your opponent's turn when they attack you. So they may think they're fighting a 4-power unit. Suddenly you attach Mantis Blade, Satori, or Zeta Tech faceplate for free. And Combat Math has officially left the building. Very, very good. River's other ability, though, allows you to search the top 2 cards of your deck and trash one whenever a friendly equipped unit is defeated. That's not the main reason we're playing him, but it could help if you pull supplemental cards that play things from graveyard or retrieve them. So, yeah. The Relic, Victor, Vector, Screw, and Trauma Team Operatives are all cards that could interact with your trash. So River can quietly help set up those effects if you pull those cards. But yeah, let's talk about the commons. So, key units I'm looking for in my booster pack. I'm starting with the commons because these are cards we're most likely to open. Uncommons, rares, and epics are great bombs if you pull them, but you cannot build a sealed strategy around them, assuming you'll open a specific epic. The commons tell us whether the deck is really there. So the first major common that we can pull is one of my favorite units, for limited at least, Swordwise Hustle. So if you pull multiple copies of this card, you know what you're building. Swordwise Hustle costs 3 and has 3 power. Whenever it attacks, if it has at least 5 power, you draw a card. That means you only need to attach something as simple as a Mantis Blades to activate this ability. A 3 cost plus a 1 Mantis Blades gives you a 5 power attacker that can immediately start generating card advantage. If you are able to throw 2 Mantis Blades on this, you're already above the curve. So yeah, if you go second and you can get this online early, that's a turn 1 Voltron Sun. Let's go! Card draw is important, and Swordwise Hustle gives us a realistic early game Voltron target that can keep our hands full. Alright, next is Screw, Lovelorn Fool. So Screw costs 5 and 7 power, which is already an excellent body, but when he's defeated, you just return a unit from trash to hand. So this deck wants to keep building new Voltron targets even after your first one dies, and Screw helps recycle any of your fallen units. So if your opponent defeats Screw, you can return T-Bug, Caliber, any valuable unit, and just start the process all over again. Another common I absolutely love is Maelstrom Goons. So if you guys watch my Pal World TCG videos, you already know how much I love making my opponent discard cards. Apparently there's something wrong with me, and this disease has now spread to Night City. Maelstrom Goons only costs 3 and has 3 power, but whenever it steals a gig while equipped, your rival discards a card. That is so good. You're already putting gear onto your units, so if you put it on Maelstrom Goons and you take a gear, your opponent's also attacking their own hand, right? They're taking damage and discarding. That's chef's kiss. And it's common. You can get multiple copies of this in your sealed pool. So again, these common cards are what build your deck. Epics aren't, but if you pull an epic bomb, you're not complaining, right? So, Gilded Maton is more of a flex card. This costs 4 and has 3 power. When it enters play, you defeat one of your friendly gear cards to defeat a rival unit costing 3 or less. You can use this as kind of like a little cheaper removal in a pinch to eliminate a cheap blocker or utility unit and push damage through. I probably wouldn't overload my deck with it because we don't normally want to destroy our own gear, but I could see playing 1 or 2 copies as flexible removal, especially if I open plenty of cheap gear. But yeah, another common, I think maybe a sleeper in limited and even constructed, is Trauma Team Operatives. So this card costs 6 and has 7 power, which is already a solid stat line, right? That's on curve, I think, personally. But its ability is that it costs 1 less Eddy for every unit in your trash, down to a minimum cost of 1. This card reminds me of Gurmag Angler from Magic the Gathering, a card that became a staple because you can play an enormous threat for almost nothing. So in middle or late game, just being able to play Trauma Team Operatives for 1 Eddy and still have resources to play another bomb or attach gear is huge. That is a massive tempo swing. So let's move into the uncommons. So we have Carry Eurodyne, the last rocker boy. And this is one of my favorite value cards that I've already been playing with in my testing. Carry costs 4 and has 5 power, which is absolutely fine on its own. But you could spend him to draw 2 cards if you control a gig with value of 8 or higher. This is huge. So this isn't talking about the Voltron strategy, but this helps us keep the strategy going. It's much easier to reach an 8 value gig than it sounds, right? They actually made this card better in my opinion. This was changed from its first iteration. And like I said, I play tested Carry numerous times. I almost always activate this ability. Draw 2 cards is like a blue ability. So in red, that is amazing. Another great pull is Victor Vector. You might feel a little pinch. So our CHOOMS Victor is a must play if you open him. Costs 3 and has 3 power. When Victor enters play, you may play a cyberware gear costing 2 or less from your graveyard for free, and you equip it to a friendly unit. So you could take your Mantis Blades, Arasaka Emergency Radio Port, Zetatech Faceplate. We're getting a body, recovering one of our important gear cards, and playing it for free. If you pull multiple copies, I would happily play all of them. This is a huge, huge card for this deck. T-Bug Amateur Philosopher is another strong Voltron target. So when I say Voltron target, I mean these are units that you're playing early game that have some kind of ability that synergizes well, and you're dropping all your gear onto it. So you could have a really good 5+ cost unit, but there's no point in Voltroning it if it takes many turns to get to it. These are cards I want to start playing turn 1 or 2. So yeah, her improved stats are 4 cost, or are for 4 power, but her change stats, I should say. But when T-Bug is defeated, you look at all of your friendly face-down legends, and you can call one for free. This is exactly what I want from an early Voltron target. We attach gear, force our opponent to deal with her, And if they manage to defeat her, we still get that payoff. That is huge. You want cards where if they actually kill it, we get a payoff. I want something out of it. If you kill my unit, I want something out of it, right? So it's not a truly one for one. I'm trying to get value out of every single play. So you can call, I don't know, Royce, Dum Dum, Atom Smasher. Atom Smasher has entered the chat, right? You can call any of these for free. Anyway, your opponent doesn't get to feel good about killing her because they don't want you to get value. So another unit is El Sombreron. La Fuengawanza Lenta. Sorry, that was bad. We'll cut that out, right? Yeah, we'll leave it in. So yeah, he costs 5, has 4 power, but whenever he attacks, you pay 2 eddies to give him power equal to one of your friendly max gigs for the turn. I've been playtesting this a lot. This almost always goes off. It's very, very easy to max out a gig. You're already putting gear onto him, and now he generates a massive power boost every time he attacks for just 2 eddies. It's basically like attaching a temporary piece of gear to him, like every single turn. Just nothing else to say about it. Just a good card. Our boy Caliber, Totenz's top dog, is another excellent target. Pretty sure I butchered that. Caliber costs 5 and has 5 power, but when he enters play, he defeats a rival unit costing 2 or less. That gives us immediate removal and potentially eliminates a cheap blocker. Then, when Caliber is defeated, your rival discards a card. If the discarded card's cost equals the value of one of your friendly gigs, they discard another card. So he enters and kills something. You load him up with gear, and when your opponent finally kills them, they can lose 2 cards. Chef's kiss, right? So good. Like I said, I like these cards. Maybe I'm a sucker for this, but I like cards that give me value when they die. So let's talk about the Chungus. Another Chungus among us. Alt Cunningham, Mother of Dragons. Wait, sorry, wrong IP. Mother of Daemons. Demons? She's an absolute bomb. She costs 7 and has 8 power. Whenever one of your friendly equipped units or legends becomes spent, you draw a card. That's already really good, right? Already good just having that passive ability, which is exactly what we want to do. But we're already equipping our units and attacking with them. Alt turns them into additional cards, but her second ability is even nastier. So she has even more on her. That's freaking insane. This is why she is an epic card. When a rival unit would steal a gig, you can discard a card equal to the gig value that they chose. And if you do, it's not stolen. That's like a force of will. Like if it were a spell. That's just like what else? That's like a Teferi's protection. That's just a negation. That's a little negation attack, right? That's huge. That's amazing. And oh, sorry, she's not she's not epic. She's actually rare. So you can't just count on opening her, but you're more likely to. So if I see Alt in my pool, she's going straight into the deck. Sorry, I just punched the table there. I'm getting too excited. So let's enter the magical Christmas land. These are epic cards that take our deck from very good to somebody better call the trauma team for our opponent. So first, we have Victor Vector, Drop Your Illusions. He's incredible in this archetype. Cost 5, has 5 power, which is directly on curve, but his ability is what makes him special. The first cyberware gear you play each turn costs 3 fewer eddies, down to a minimum cost of 1. Dude, that is amazing. Mantis Blades already cost 1, but Victor can make your expensive cyberware gear even more efficient. Gorilla Arms, Deadman Trigger, they all cost 1. You can play Victor and immediately start loading up another gear without spending your entire turn. That's huge. Another epic bomb is our boy Jackie Wells' Ride or Die, son. This was kind of nerfed from the alpha deck, but it's still good, right? Jackie costs 6, and he already starts with 8 power. But when he attacks, he gains another 2 plus... he gains 2 plus power for every friendly gig with an even value. So if you start attaching gear to Jackie, this man can become enormous. With the right gig values and enough gear, Jackie can potentially steal multiple gigs in a single attack. And if he's defeated, you draw one card for every gig with an odd value. So even when he dies, you can still refill your hand. That is insane. He's literally your ride or die son. He's so good. And if you throw gear on him, it's, oh my god. He's absolutely insane. If you pull this card, this is the kind of card you throw on the table and your opponent's just like, they just go like this, like, oh my god, how do I get rid of that? When your opponent does that, you know that's a epic play. So these are cards I believe have the strongest synergy with the red-yellow Voltron archetype. But remember, this is still a sealed event, so I cannot guarantee you'll open every card mentioned in this video. You need to examine your actual card pool and build around what you receive. The biggest signals that Voltron is open are going to be your commons, right? Like I said, commons are what build most of your deck. Everybody already receives a Mantis Blade, so if you get additional Mantis Blades, Arasaka Emergency Radio Port, the Adrenaline Converter, Gorilla Arms, Swordwise Hustle, Maelstrom Goons, that's when I seriously begin considering this deck, which I believe is not going to be hard. So then you look at your 3 random legends. Did you get Royce, Dum Dum, River Ward, or Atom Smasher, or did you pull any other legend supports in your pack? So that's when you look at all those. Then you look at your uncommons, rares, and epic bombs. Did you pull any of those that I mentioned? And if you have the common foundation and any of those cards, then I think that's when you can start to build this deck. The main thing that you want to watch out for when playing this deck is overcommitting. So even though every additional card makes your unit stronger, you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, all your resources into a single target. You don't always need to attach every piece of gear onto the same unit. You can spread it out. Maybe create 2. Like once I get a unit past 10, I think I would consider start making another unit and putting the gear onto that, right? If you do want to go all in on one unit, Deadman Transmitter protects that investment. So I would be more like confident to make someone a 20 plus power if I had Deadman Transmitter. But yeah, and then don't forget the Swordwise Hustle, the Carry, Zeta Tech Faceplate, Alt Cunningham. These also all help draw cards. Screw and Victor recover resources. T-Bug replaces herself with a legend if she dies. So you're looking at all of these cards, how they interact with each other, and the board state. So yeah. So based on everything so far, I believe red-yellow Voltron is going to be one of the archetypes to beat during Cyberpunk TCG Beta Events, if not the pre-release. And I'm going to say it, Constructed as well. This is going to be my go-to deck for Constructed that I'll be playing. So yeah, it has aggressive gear, protection, card draw, discard, free legends, recursion, just incredible payoff cards if you pull them. But I want to hear from you guys. Is Voltron the best archetype for beta events? Would you go all in on Royce and gear strategy, or do you think another color combination is better to rule Night City? Let me know in the comments below. I also think this archetype, like I said, is the best in Constructed, but we will touch back on that when the game officially releases and get some official gameplay with real cards, and we'll do a tech deck on it. But once again, a massive thank you to Cyberpunk TCG for welcoming me as an official content creator. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Surgical Ninja, and turn on those notifications. We'll be doing Cyberpunk TCG unboxings, gameplay, deck techs, market coverage, and plenty more in the future. Until next time, I'm Surgical Ninja, making those bad financial decisions so you don't have to. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Peace.